So we're a little behind on our spoilers. All right, it's been a minute. So some of these we've seen for like probably a couple weeks at this point now. Um, you know, so we're just gonna talk about them, see what I think, and like based on everything that has been spoiled, it's like we've only gotten like a third of the set revealed, so there's still so much more that we're gonna get in these next couple weeks. But I do want to kind of just look at these now, so we don't fall too far behind. Yeah. So again, this is going to be in no particular order. Some of them are in different languages, so we're going to try to get the translation as best as we can. I know the translations are out there. We just have to find them. So, we have a lot to go through. So let's just start. First, we have Fang Crossbow. It is an inkable 3-cost item. Caraflam or Caraflam, whatever. It costs 2 to exert and use, and the chosen character gets -2 attack, which is interesting. So that's this turn, so that's any character, which could be useful. But the interesting effect on this is Stay Back, which is you exert this and banish this item to banish a chosen dragon character. So like this card specifically screams sideboard. Like, for those who don't know what the sideboard is in a card game, it's like if you're playing a match of 2 out of 3 and you're going up against a specific matchup, if your opponent has a deck where its big boss is a dragon, let's say Maleficent, or we'll probably see some more in this set as well, like you would put this card, swap this card in with something else for the next game because it works against that matchup. Like, if there's no sideboard and we like if there's no sideboard and it's not very obvious that the best deck in the format does have to do with a dragon, then like this probably isn't good. But if a sideboard does get introduced in Lorcana, this is the kind of card that would be in there. The fact that it's inkable is helpful though. All right, Last Stand. Amber action, not inkable, costs 2. Banish chosen character who was challenged this turn. So this is actually much needed removal. Much needed removal in Amber specifically. Like, Amber by itself doesn't have a lot of removal, so there's different situations where you would challenge a character, and then this is just a cheap little thing just to get rid of it. So like an example could be you're going up against a big character your opponent has. All you have to do is challenge them. Don't even have to deal damage to them. All you have to do is challenge them, and then this just straight up removes them. Like, some people are kind of split on this card, but I think for Amber, which by itself doesn't have like a ton of like spot removal, this is actually pretty good, and it only costs 2. I don't know how much play it'll see. I think in Amber you're going to see a lot, not a lot, but a decent amount of this card for sure. All right, now we're getting into kind of what's caused a big ruckus here with these cards revealed. This is a Rabbit Merlin, and we're going to see a theme as we go forward. If you remember, one of the first cards that was spoiled for Rise of the Floodborn was a Merlin card, and it had the effect of like, if one of your characters returns to your hand, he gains an extra lore or whatever it is. And you're like, that's very like situational. But now we're seeing that they're going to be building a strategy around this. And I'm probably going to talk about this sort of thing more in a future video. But one thing that this is making very clear is that the strategies are going to start to become more like in a vacuum. It's not just going to be always just get all good stuff and put it in the deck. There's going to be dedicated strategies moving forward, which is good because like every card game has those, and these Merlin cards are a great indicator of that, among other things. So this is Merlin, the rabbit. It's Amethyst. He is not inkable, costs 4, 2 attack, 3 blocking, can quest for 1 lore, and his effect is Hippity Hop, or Hoppity Hip rather, which reads, when you play this character and when he leaves play, you may draw a card. So when you play him, you draw a card. He's another Maleficent, basically, except he's not inkable. And in this strategy, there's a million different ways to bounce this back to your hand, so you could draw another card. So again, this is one of those cards that's going to kind of fit in this dedicated strategy. Will this be generically good? Probably not, because if you're not running a Merlin specific deck, then Maleficent is definitely better. But just because it's inkable, and yeah, you can't draw the extra card by bouncing your card back, but you're not going to want to do that with your Maleficent anyway. So in the Merlin strategy, I'm sure this is strong, but as a generic card, probably not. All right, so we have Madame Mim now, another Sword in the Stone character. Madame Mim Fox is inkable, cost 3, 4 attack, 3 blocking, and her effect is chasing the rabbit, which there he was running away from her. And there she is. So I like how the art is super there's a lot of continuity with the art. That's really cool. So this reads, when you play this character, banish her or return another chosen characters of yours to your hand. So this is what I mean by this very dedicated kind of Merlin deck, where you play him, if you have enough ink for this, obviously, you play him, draw a card, then you play her, return rabbit to your hand, and then draw another card off of that. Obviously there's going to be a bunch of different things to bounce back with this card, but sorry. Yeah, obviously there's going to be a bunch of different things to bounce back with this card, but that's kind of what this deck is going for. Another Merlin, Squirrel, inkable, 2 cost, 2/1, quest for 1 lore, and look before you leap. When you play this character and when he leaves play, look at the top card of your deck, put it on either the top or bottom of your deck. So, I mean, again, you see how all these cards are working together. How you can play him and put a card at the top of your deck, and then play him and then draw that card, and then you start to draw another card, and they're all kind of working together. That's what I mean by a very dedicated strategy. We have another Madame Mim, this time a snake. 2 cost, inkable, is 3/3, which is actually really good for a 2 cost. Quest for 1, and just you wait. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. So the downside of this is that you can only play her if you have another character on the board. If not, you have to banish her. So she only costs 2, so it's not unreasonable to play a rabbit and then play her. This is doing what this one's doing, except it costs less. So we're starting to see the theme. The Madame Mims are bouncing or returning your cards to your hand, while the Merlins are getting an effect based off of that. Next we have Merlin Crab, a 3 cost, inkable, Amethyst, 3/3. Ready or not, when you play this character and when he leaves play, a chosen character gains Challenger +3 this turn. So this looks like it's just very situational. It's more of a techie card that will come into play in certain situations. I don't know if you would run 4 of this, but again, it's sticking with that strategy. I'm sure there's more Merlin cards that we missed, but we're just gonna keep going. I know people, there was a goat one, there was a big dragon, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but we're just gonna do this in order. So here's one of our first foreign language cards. We had to get translators on it. Lady Tremaine, arrogant matriarch, is a 2-cost non-inkable 2/2. Can quest for 1, and her effect is not for you. When you play this character, all opponents with more lore than you lose 1 lore. So I wonder if this means, because she's uninkable and is kind of a meh effect, I wonder if we're going to get a Lady Tremaine that shifts onto this one. Kind of like how we have like the Aladdin shift, same sort of thing. Like, I feel like we're going to have a Lady Tremaine that shifts onto this Lady Tremaine and probably has some kind of similar effect. All right, this guy, this guy has caused a ruckus in the Lorcana social media landscape. Emerald has been getting a lot of support, at least early on. Emerald, they're really pushing Emerald, which obviously I'm an Emerald player, so I'm happy about that, because Emerald was kind of viewed as like the weakest color of all of them. But like, that's going to change. So Prince John is crazy. He's not inkable, only costs 3, so he's not expensive. Is a 1/2, has ward, so he can't be chosen, and his effect, he quests for 2, which is good. I sentence you. Whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. So there's a number of different things you can do with this. Obviously you can be tempted to quest for the 2, but as you can see, he's weak, so any 1 or 2 drop can take him out. The real value of this guy is being able to plus while your opponent minuses. Obviously there are cards that force your opponent to discard. So I think of like You Have Forgotten Me, which forces your opponent to discard 2 cards. If you play You Have Forgotten Me with him on the board, your opponent discards 2 and then you draw 2. If you have Flynn Rider on the board and your opponent challenges him and they have to discard a card, if Prince John is on the field while that's happening, you are drawing a card with that. Same thing for the Bell, the new Bell in this set, where your opponent has to discard their entire hand. If they have to discard a hand of 3 with him on the board, you draw 3. And people, of course, are saying, wow, this card is crazy with A Whole New World. So you're telling me your opponent, you play A Whole New World, everyone discards 7, you draw 7, and then draw 7 more because your opponent discards 7? Yes, that you can do that, but like, you can also mill yourself, so that's also a possibility. But regardless, this guy's crazy. His strength comes from the ability to plus while your opponent is minusing. Giving up the 2 lore for that isn't the worst thing in the world, because again, he can die easily. But he has wards, so he doesn't lose to smash or cannons or things like that, but he does immediately lose to like Tinkerbell and well, not immediately lose Tinkerbell, but he loses like Grab Your Sword and stuff like that. So I actually think he's a pretty balanced card. Like, he's not inkable. Yeah, he's pretty low cost at 3, but he's weak, and you're probably not really going to quest with him much, especially if your opponent has some kind of attacker on board. But this is one of my favorite cards for sure. All right, Arthur. So this looks like it's going to go in that Merlin deck. Again, sorry, these are like all over the place. He's a 3-cost, not inkable, 1/3 amethyst card, can quest for 1. Whenever this character quests, you may return another chosen character of yours to your hand to gain 2 lore. This is insane, especially when we get to, I'll have to bring them up. So like, for example, you quest with him, you gain 1 lore, right? And then let's go back to the rabbit. You return this rabbit to your hand, then you draw a card, and then you gain 2 more lore off of him. So like, you can see what this deck is trying to do. The characters themselves aren't gaining a lot of lore by themselves, but like, there's the Merlin goat, where if you bounce that back, you gain another lore, then you gain 2 lore off of him. Yeah, like this deck is gonna be really popular just because like, you know, people do like this movie, and I think it's just like a really cool strategy, really dedicated strategy. So yeah, Arthur is really good for Merlin. Next we have Prince Charming. I'm actually really excited about this. 4 cost, inkable, 3/3 sapphire card. It's just a vanilla, doesn't have any effect or anything like that. He can quest for 3. This guy is Sapphire Hans, and that's what it boils down to. He basically power creeps Maleficent, but you might be able to run both of them, especially because it's very easy to get resources in Sapphire. So man, this guy gives Sapphire a really big boost. Just saying. I don't know. I just like this card for Sapphire a lot. Next we have Grand Duke, Advisor to the King. 2 cost, inkable, 2/2. Can quest for 1. His effect is Yes, Your Majesty. Your prince, princess, king, and queen characters get +1 attack. I mean, you know, again, very much a tech card against certain matchups. Again, this is just one of those sideboard cards that if there is a sideboard at some point you would use, but you know, he's okay if you're building your deck around this sort of theme. Alright, so here is one of our legendaries, and this is kind of the big boss of the Merlin deck. That is Madam Mim Purple Dragon, which I think you can use that. You can definitely use that one support card, item card against her. So let's take a look at this. First of all, this artwork is amazing. It's Amethyst, 7 cost, inkable, 5/7, can quest for 4. So we have another card that can quest for 4, not just the Mickey Mouse. Also has evasive like the Mickey Mouse, but costs 1 less. But here's the catch. The effect is I win, and reads, when you play this character, banish her or return another 2 of your chosen characters or chosen characters of yours to your hand. So you need to have at least 2 characters on the board to play her. That's the catch. If you don't have that, she's a brick and she gets banished immediately. But as you saw with a lot of those Merlin cards, the Merlin Goat that bounces and gains a lore, the Merlin Rabbit that bounces and draws you a card. This can do 2 of them. So like you're basically setting up your board in a way to, this is your end boss, right? This is your end boss. You should be at a point where you've gained a decent amount of lore. This card has evasive. Your opponent just can't really interact with this except for your typical removal like Dragonfire, be prepared, let it go. But like if you're in the late game and they burn those cards and use them, like this card can just win you the game. Obviously, like again, this is kind of what you're building towards in this deck. But you need to be very strategic about when you play it, because when you play this, you want to be in a winning position. But this is a legendary. This card's crazy. Really cool. Next we have a Scar, and this one's in a different language. So believe it's Rush. She's 6/5/7, not inkable, can quest for 2. I'll have to go back and look for the translation for this one. Here we go. Li Shang, archery instructor, archery lesson. Whenever this character quests, your characters gain evasive this turn. 5 inkable, 3/6 quest for 2. I mean, that will do the trick against your opponent who has evasive cards. First of all, again, the artwork is amazing. And he quests for 2, which isn't bad. See, the evasive thing, like, is that a good enough effect to run this guy? Like, I don't think you would run him at 4, but like playing him at 5, see, I would almost still rather play Beast, because then I can at least take out an item. But you know, I think he's fine and can come up in niche situations. All right, we have another Emerald action, a different song. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. Cost 3, is not inkable. Return chosen character of yours to your hand to play another character with the same cost or less for free. So this very much synergizes with the Merlin deck. It's starting to look like that the Merlin deck needs to be played with Emerald, because Emerald has these cards that bounce, and this is another one. So that Emerald Amethyst Merlin deck is going to be a thing, it looks like. You basically want to play this when you bounce one of your characters. If your character has an on-summon effect that can affect the game in some way, so you want to get more value out of it. But I think this card is actually really solid, again, in Emerald, especially in Emerald and Merlin. I like it. We have Tigger, again, really cool card. One of a kind, 3 cost, inkable, 3/3. Here's a quest for 1 lore. Whenever you play an action, this character gets +2 this turn. I see, this actually isn't bad. If you're trying to get rid of, like, this can get rid of a Tinkerbell, this can get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. So I actually don't think this is terrible. He only quests for 1, but like, you're not really using him to quest. You want him to take out characters. Like, if you played a removal action, right, to get rid of one of your opponent's characters, give him +2 that could take out another of your opponent's characters. Like, I actually don't think he's bad at all. Next we have Donald Duck, Deep Sea Diver, cost 5, inkable, 6/5, so big stats, only quest for 1. Again, just for steal, just a big body on the board, like a Cerberus sort of thing. But one thing that's interesting, it says, you go ahead, Minnie. I'm going to see if there's any lore over here. So they're really, really leaning in on the whole continuity thing, which I like a lot. Speaking of which, another awesome artwork. And if we remember the Shift Minnie Mouse, well, here's another Minnie you can shift on. 2 cost, 3/2, which is actually pretty good stats for a 2 cost inkable. Only quest for 1. Like, I would play this over the Princess Minnie. Again, you can shift the Diver Mini onto this too. And which is now brings us to what I think is my favorite artwork of this set. That is Goofy, Night for Day. Also, he's only a rare. This is our biggest character yet. 9 cost, inkable, 10/10. He kills anything and does not die to anything, challenge wise. This guy's a straight up vanilla. Quest for 4. So a vanilla that quests for 4. I mean, like, people thought that, like, that Maui was obnoxious. This is insane. Like, again, you're in a, this card almost feels very Winmore. Like, once he hits the board, it's like, what do you even do? Especially if he has protection. I don't know how good he's gonna be from a competitive standpoint, but I love this artwork. This card is just obnoxious, and I'm just in love with it. Here's a card that, again, Emerald players are really excited about. We have a new character, Daisy Duck, Secret Agent, Emerald, 4 cost, inkable, 2/3. The effect is Thwart. Whenever this character quests, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So again, you pair this with Prince John. So you play, you quest, your opponent discards a card, and if you have Prince John on the board, you draw a card, which, by the way, Prince John is a 3, this is a 4, so this fits with the ink curve as well. Really good card for Emerald. I think this card is a must include in Emerald, honestly. Love it. We have Pinocchio. 2 cost, non-inkable, 1/1. When you play this character, you may exert a chosen opposing character. I'm split on this card because this can ultimately, like, you play this and you exert an opponent's character, or maybe you challenge it or something and get it off the board. This is, like, functionally removal. It's just like, like, you can play him, exert a chosen opposing character, and then play like Rafiki to rush and kill it. Like, that's a combo, and like Amethyst could use combos like this, but like, I don't know. I think you'll see some play, but is it insane? I don't know. We'll have to see. Next, we have Rapunzel, 5 cost, inkable, 0 attack, 6 defense, a shift 3. So that tells me that we're probably getting a smaller Rapunzel at some point. Can quest for 2, and the effect is let your power shine. Whenever you remove 1 or more damage from one of your characters, you may draw a card. So like, it has a very similar effect to the other Rapunzel, but this one can shift. Except, and like, this one doesn't heal the character itself, but like, obviously, like, if you pair it with cards that heal, like, I immediately think of the Jasmine that heals. Whenever you heal, you draw a card. I think of some of the items that heal when you play them. You would draw a card. Decent card, I think. I think the shift 3 and the fact that it's inkable makes it definitely worth trying out. Next, we have another song, 4 dozen eggs. Inkable, 4 costs. Sapphire. Your characters gain resist +2 until the start of your next turn. So this, if I am correct, is one of the first kind of action cards, or at least a song where like the effect lingers on your opponent's turn while you play this, and the resist stays until the end of their turn. Especially when we're going to be dealing with the new Cogsworth and Tiana and things like that, and all these cards that have resist. This is actually going to be pretty good, I think. A 4 cost song that's also inkable isn't absurd, so I like it. Queen of Hearts, quick tempered, 2 cost, non-inkable, is a 1/2. A 2 cost that quest for 2 is it's okay, but it's not inkable. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to chosen damaged opposing character. So essentially, you're deciding if you want to play this or Flynn Rider. The problem is that, like, if you're playing this in the early game, then it's not likely your opponent's going to have a damaged character. Like, if they do, then, like, they're weak enough and this might even kill them. But the fact that it's not inkable, like, I don't know if you would play this over Flynn Rider, but there is a shift for it, so we'll see. We have the cat. Again, this is in a different language. So 5 non-inkable, 2/2, quest for 2. If I remember correctly, again, it has something to do with the actions. I'll get back to this one again, but like, it's another emerald card, I believe, has something to do with discarding. Here we go, Chip. So this card actually, I think, is more fascinating than people are letting on. So the thing is, people are like, well, wait, he's the same cost and inkable and has the same exact stats as Archimedes, which is true, which is where the game is at right now. It's like, okay, you can just choose if you want to play Chip or choose if you want to play Archimedes. But keep this in mind, that, it might come into play, the keywords. I forget what Archimedes keywords are. Not keywords, like text down here. Like, eventually, as the game goes forward, that might matter. So then it might actually matter which ones you play. But for right now, it just all depends on which art you like better. And personally, I like this one better. All right, Lumiere, 7 costs. Inkable, 7/7, and quest for 2. He's just a big boy. Not sure how much play he's going to see, but yeah, I think there's a lot better Ruby cards. This guy, the Grand Pappy, whatever you say. So he's 7, not inkable. He quests for 3, and again, we'll get the translations on that. So we have to go through, there's a bunch of cards that need to be translated. Here we go. Pinocchio. A 2-cost character that quests for 3, and people are panicking about it. Oh my god, the power creep is real. The power creep is real. But what balances this is the fact that he's not inkable and he's a 1/1. Sure, get that 3 lore early, but he's gonna die immediately. Or if your opponent just has like a fire the cannons or something, like he's not, this guy is not going to see the board that much. Like, yeah, having only being a 2-cost and quest for 3, like that's great and all, but you know, you would need to seriously like get a bodyguard, like basically what they're doing with the 1-drop Maleficent and Lilo's that quest for 2. You play those, you play a bodyguard to protect them. So it'll probably be like a similar thing here, but this is a cool card. I like it. I like that it's like, yeah, you immediately think power creep, but I don't think it's as bad as people say. We have the prince from Princess and the Frog, just a big guy, just another big steel card. Here we go. Great Mouse Detective cards. People are very excited about this, and so am I. So they're all, how do you say, is it Basil? I'm not really familiar with Great Mouse Detective. I've seen the movie before, but like, you know, it's been like years. So let's start with this guy. 2-cost inkable, 2/2. Is a support, quest for 1. This one over here, 4-cost inkable, 3/4, quest for 2. But you are using these to get the big guy up here, the big Basil, 6-cost inkable, 3/4, a shift 5, which is pretty good. And the effect is if you use shift to play this character, you may draw 2 cards when he enters play. So like, he immediately, I think, power creeps Robin Hood, the Robin Hood 6-drop, because like it's not unreasonable to like shift him onto one of these guys. So, you know, draw 2 cards and you get this big guy on the board. Love it. I think it's a really cool design. This is the dude from Princess and the Frog, right? Big Daddy, 4-cost inkable, 2/5, quest for 10. He's fine. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to get the translation on this. So a big Queen of Hearts. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna find the translation right now. Here we go. The effect is off with your head. Whenever an opposing character is banished, you may ready this character. Okay, so another one of those, like, ready it, but it can quest. Again, just another big steel card. So, you know, I think it's fine. I do want to go back to some of these other ones. So Sneaky Cat. Okay, Mouse Hunter. When you play this character, each opponent chooses and discards 2 cards or just 1 action card. Interesting. So again, Emerald really leaning into the discard aspect of it. And I wanted to also look at him too. I know there are a lot of... Can you spell it? Okay. Ancient Knowledge, Grandpappy. Whenever you remove one more damage from one of your characters, you may gain 2 lore. Wow. So again, like I know Sapphire has healing cards, like healing items, the Jasmine heals. So you can just gain 2 lore by healing and then quest for 3 for 5. That's awesome. This is actually a really cool card. I hate that he's not inkable, but I guess we'll just have to manage. All right, and we have 2 more cards here. We have a new Bell. This was actually just spoiled today, I think, the day of recording. Bell reads, while an opponent has no cards in their hand, this character gets +2 lore. So again, Emerald, they're developing this like discard heavy Emerald deck where like this card doesn't discard anything Emerald, but like you get +2, which is really good, and you have ways to get rid of your opponent's hand. I like this a lot. And last one is this Ring the Bell, I think it's called. Another great mouse detective. Is it Ring the Bell? I can just put in the French. Is this German? Where is it? Jeez. It's like, I don't know why it's not in there. But Inkable 3. It's like, it's something, it's Ring the Bell, right? It's not Dinner Bell. Well, whatever. So yeah, these are the spoilers. Again, sorry, I know some of them were like in other languages and couldn't find translations for some of them, but yeah, so we're all caught up on spoilers. There's actually just one more I want to look at that I didn't really get to talk about. The Goat Merlin, 4 cost, inkable, 4/3, and this card is gonna make this deck hum, because when you play this character, you gain a lore. When he leaves play, you gain a lore. So like you can get a bunch of lore off of this guy just by playing him, which is insane. And then you have a million ways to bounce him back to your hand with the other Merlin and Mim cards. So people are going crazy over this Merlin. And did we look at we did look at crap. All right, so yeah, these were the spoilers for the upcoming set, Rise of the Floodborn. So we're all caught up. What's your favorite of this group, and what are you looking forward to as we get more Rise of the Floodborn spoilers? I would love to know, but yeah, there's just some really exciting cards in this set. So yeah, let me know what you think.